Hey folks, MasakoX here. Now that we're a few episodes into Daima and you've been sitting on the fence waiting for an opportunity to binge watch some episodes and to catch up even faster, you can go and check out my reviews right here because I've done every single one. I don't think people have realized now that this episode of Dragonball Daima basically changed everything that we know about how the universe was created, in the fact that we might actually know how the universes were created, and that some of Haverokanai's theories were correct on the subject, that indeed, the demon realm was Universe Zero, the beginning template as to what we know today. And also, get ready for our future in-depth review of episode 10, because this is just glossing over some things and we're formulating things in our minds, but I think in that episode, we just saw the guy that we've been telling you all Toriyama did talk about in Super, completely glossed over it in one line thanks to Zeno, and now we actually saw him. But you'll have to wait until that video comes out until we actually point out who exactly. But one thing is for sure that we can say is that we might have seen the ancestor of Zeno, the king of everything, and that maybe Zeno might have been a descendant of a Supreme Majin Creator. So, because you got to look at the eyes, you've got to look at all of these various things, and many people, including Herms, have been theorizing that maybe because the name of the Supreme Majin is Rymus instead of Rhymes, is that it's like lime, and it looks like and sounds like slime, because you've just got to look at his head. It looks like the weakest baddie in Dragon Quest is now actually probably the strongest in the entire entity creating the universe. It just seems like a Toriyama thing to do, and that kind of little nod to the other creation that he held so dear in his life. But there are so many things that we now know. One thing we can say though, that I reckon the pace is really starting to amp up, because the preview for the next episode, we're actually going to be fighting the second Tagami. So that's going to be Vegeta probably doing most of the heavy lifting there. I mean, that would make sense. It's probably going to be Goku fighting Tagami number 3, Vegeta mostly fighting number 2, and then it's going to be Goku and Vegeta fighting number 1, because we did see Tagami number 1, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, that Majin Buu would be completely wasting him. Even though Majin Buu threw in the towel and basically said, I lose, I give up, I'll do whatever you want, mistress, I'll even go and do some shopping for you. He seems kind of unrealistic, and I actually kind of not mad about it. I'm really, really loving the fact that people thought that, is this guy the real deal? Is he really the baddie? No, come on. We should have known this. This is Toriyama from beyond the grave. He is trolling us all. You really expect the absolute big bad to be this version of Majin Buu or not somebody else? Because we also have to think that maybe this is alluding to the Fat Janemba theory, that don't just trust the first transformation, because the first iteration of Majin Buu was the big cuddly one that we know, and that was leagues apart from Kid Buu, the most chaotic out of them all. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple of more transformations, most likely forced by Arinsu, because she'll be taking that thing back to Marva, saying, hey, the thing you made is defective, either make me another one or force a transformation. So Majin Buu will be just this meek thing that's trying to please his master, and she's absolutely hating the fact that this is yet another failure. Although, having said that, Majin Buu is not weak, because you gotta think about it, because he didn't lose by being completely defeated. He just had the complete awareness to go like, yeah, I can't beat this guy. It's just going to be either stalemate or eventually I'll just wear out of energy or something like that. So he gave up. He actually had a really smart head on his shoulders. So we cannot underestimate Majin Buu. This is just the beginning, because he's literally just been born. And Marba, back in the previous episode, was saying, are you really sure you want to go after a Tagami right after he's just been made? I mean, that's probably either underestimating think that they would be destroyed, or maybe they wouldn't be fully up to speed with their potential and power, because we did see quite a really cool set of skills that Majin Buu does have. And yes, of course, the internet has been quick to condemn Daima and say, wow, we were tricked, this Majin Buu sucks. Well, just hold your horses there. There's probably more to this. Either he's going to transform into an even bigger, badder version of Majin Buu, or he's going to be replaced with yet another version, maybe something to do with the third eye thing that people were really telling me about, that belt that Hybis had going, hey, look at this cool third eye. I found it in the mountain. It's kind of funny. It just looks around at things. Yeah, maybe that's the third eye.
And going back to Rymus, the third eye, Buddha, the two Zenos, I really am starting to have so many questions about this. Haverock and I, we will crystallize all of our thoughts in a really big upcoming discussion video, going more in depth with all of the stuff, now that we've had a couple of times to really look through it. And we managed to find out more about Shin's origins as well. And now we actually find out this tragic story of the Glins is that there aren't no more going to be made or born or created, and now they are all going to die out eventually. And we actually had some connections to Super. So for anyone who was really missing Dragon Ball Super, we do have some connections to those, not just Rymus, who's going to be the ancestor of Zeno probably. And that might actually explain the creation theory, because we were lacking a creator because we had the destroyer in Zeno, we had the preservers, which were the angels and the grand priest, and now we've got Rymus, who's the person who created all of the universes in the first place, because the Supreme Demon King Lord, we could do a little bit of room, let's make some more universes, boom, and then everyone moved out, and then Abura was the reason why the Glins and the Namekians left, because he was being so suppressive, paranoid about outside forces coming back to the demon realm. So we got all of that. So the Glins weren't wiped out per se. It's just the demon realm got really, really bad and oppressive. And they were just like, nah, man, now we're good. We Glins are really valued by the higher ups up there. The Supreme Majin really respects us. So some of them get ported over to Rymus's planet or nearby Rymus's homeworld, and then some of them get appointed as Supreme Kai, as does Shin eventually, because that part rings true, because when Majin Buu attacked and ended all of his colleagues and superiors, the Grand Supreme Kai, he then took on that role. But they had high hopes for Shin, but he was brought in too early. So it might seem a little bit confusing, but eventually all of these different Supreme Kai that we see from all of the universes, they're there, they make a cameo, including our boy Goasu. And even though he doesn't even know Zamas at that point, he's just a glint in the acorn's eye. Goasu's right there, and Fua from Universe 6, they're all there. They were then appointed, they were taken from the second demon realm, and then put into all of the other universes. There you go. And it just makes me wonder, were there 18 universes to begin with? Were there more? And then Zeno destroyed them? Man, can you imagine what happened with Rymus? Maybe he had a fight with Zeno eventually, and Zeno said, I don't like you, I'm going to erase you. Boom, puts him in an erased universe or something, because Rymus is nowhere to be seen. Maybe that's going to be alluding to a future plot point, should Super come back eventually. Maybe Toriyama left some notes. But this is something really, really fascinating, because there was a lot to really dig into with Daima, because we got a lot of the situation where we don't have to worry about the heavy air. The gendarmerie are now going to be going back to the first demon realm, so that little antic is not going to be had anymore. We're not going to be worrying about the group being chased by the demon police or something like that. That bit's done now, so they're all going to go round to focusing on protecting Goma from them. So we pretty much will be left unopposed, so we can have the adventure, and the time in the second demon realm is probably not going to be that long, because there's not really much to see or do. It's practically a desert there, and it was nice to see Piccolo go to the planet and actually step on it where all of the original Namekians were, including his dad, Demon King Piccolo. Piccolo Daima came from the demon realm, so that was confirmed right there. And there was this sense of contentment. The Kami inside of Piccolo definitely felt some sense of appreciation from that. We then saw Neva there, watching from outside the ship, and I'm pretty sure that now he's actually locked eyes on Piccolo from afar, that they will telepathically communicate and have some sense of understanding one another, because it's been a very long time since Neva has even seen a Namekian. I mean, not just Dende, but then there's Piccolo, so there's more of them. And I'm pretty sure he'll want to tell his tale, and I'm pretty sure we are going to be seeing more and more stuff about how not only the universe was created, but the Super Dragon Balls. So we'll get more of that lore. But it'll be very interesting how this weaves into the information dump that Whis gives about the Super Dragon Balls. I mean, does Goku simply forget or something like that? Or is this just stuff that we are given? All of these visuals are not things that our cast of characters see. These are clearly snippets and flashbacks and visuals that really benefit and provide fan service for the people who are fans of Super, to really kind of connect the story, and it then all has something to do eventually with Supreme Kai's universes, Zeno, the two Zenos, the Tournament of Power. It's all connected. It's all got some sense of place, and I'm really liking where this is going now. It's going to be now going out of the adventure phase a little bit. We're going to get some more fights because the fights are now really starting to get quite spectacular. The animation is really kicking in because usually in anime series, it starts to just fall off a little bit before then amping up toward the end of the arc. No, Daima's animation quality is consistently good. And we are now getting into proper Dragon Ball Z and Super-like fights. The story is really coming along. We've got lots to chew on. And just casually, in the final 3 minutes of this episode, Shin drops so many bombshells as to how the universe is created. The Demon Realm is the original template for all that goes on in the Dragon world. And that is a little bit of a retcon on what was originally established in the guidebooks. But as we said quite a few times, yeah, sure, it's all very well and good to have the guidebooks. Well, who on earth has got the time or inclination to translate or read the actual guidebooks and glean some information aside from going to Kanzenshu or watching our Dragon Ball discussion videos? Quite a lot of casual fans, they're not going to be doing that. They're going to be wanting to get this source material from proper anime and manga sources, which is exactly what we're getting. We are getting a hybrid of sorts, some sort of extended experience from Toriyama about those notes and things he said like 3 decades ago, and then thinking, well, I could probably do better than that, so I'm just going to present it like this. Because it is pretty much just a hybrid of the stuff we get in the guidebooks to what Toriyama has learnt since and other things he would just like to mention. So we've got all of that. We've got everyone together now, so everyone is present, everyone is correct, and I'm going to be really interested to see what happens, because one thing to remember is that Hybis is probably going to be a massive beacon, because people have forgotten about those red collars. Hybis still has a red collar. He's the only one that has one. So even though the gendarmerie aren't going to be attacking them anymore, Goma can see what they're doing because of Hybis. And now his role is complete. He's now not really got much role left because he doesn't know anything about the second demon world. He could, in theory, just go home or just kick back. But he's now just a walking beacon, be some sort of liability for exactly when they get the second Dragon Ball or something like that. And I'm just really, really fascinated about the fact, instead of the first Demon Dragon Ball going straight to Arinsu, so that means it's 1-1 right now already. No, Arinsu was thwarted. She wasn't perfect. And now I'm really intrigued as to what she's going to do with the likes of Majin Buu. It's this really sad situation where he ends up either getting destroyed by Arinsu and people feel bad for him, or he ends up being a good guy. And then you've just got this Cyberman Majin who then becomes friends with Majin Buu. But then again, we don't see him in Super. So I am really dreading something that maybe he might end up either dead in the Demon Realm, or he remains in the Demon Realm to become maybe the lackey or bodyguard of King Kadan or something like that from the third Demon Realm. There are a lot of theories going around at the moment, but I've got some suspicions that maybe Majin Buu right now, as he is not the final big bad. So Toriyama gave us the slip on that one. I am kind of glad about that he, even towards his final days and months and years, was still really wanting to give those of his fans a little bit of a moment where I'm like, you were expecting that. I'm not giving that to you. So everyone thought this was the final big bad. I thought that too. We were wrong. We got played. And I am so loving that fact. And everyone is just now calling him a fraud, Majin Buu. And I'm just thinking, look, wait. Think Janemba. Janemba turned out to be this ridiculous clown and then turned into the biggest movie badass of the entire franchise, second to Broly. And maybe third to first form Hirudegan, because, you know, giant monolith with skull head. One of the biggest reliefs I had is that when Pansy was like, oh no, I must go back to the ship, even though I think altogether now, the second demon world released the Kraken. And then we all thought, oh no, she's going to get some sort of toy or some sort of thing that, oh, tee-hee, we girls really need this. No, she actually realized, oh dang, if I don't go back now, we're going to actually lose the Dragon Ball. So thank God she was being the resourceful, logical, smart one and remembered the fact that there was the Dragon Ball there while they were trying to escape the Kraken and actually succeeded and prevented us having to go, oh no, we've now got to go on an adventure to go down to the Kraken and maybe tickle its belly to make it burp out the Dragon Ball or something like that. I do like the tomfoolery of the original Dragon Ball arc, but I think we do need to up the ante now. We've had that adventure segment. Now we've got to get to the situation where we now get into the Z territory. And it was really cool to see Goku alluding to the shield thing where he's spinning the Nyoibo to reflect all of the laser beams from the shield. And really, they should have just got Goku to do all of that sooner instead of allowing them to shoot down their own plane. But I suppose now they don't really need it exactly because they can fly. They have Hybus's ship. So having two ships was a little bit redundant. So you got that. And I still really like Hybus because he's just so deadpan and straightforward and just loves teasing Vegeta and just does not care. That is kind of funny. Vegeta gets so wound up and Hybus just does not get wound up back and is just not afraid to call him out. I wasn't quite sure what Hybus's purpose was, especially now they're no longer going to be a pilot. He's just there as some sort of clown or just being there as a troll for Vegeta. That's okay by me. To antagonize Vegeta? Yeah, I don't mind that. That's fine. There are so many things about this episode I really, really liked. It wasn't the most bombastic episode. There were moments that did actually cause a couple of twists, which I really liked. And we got a really big bit of exposition, which really goes into depth about Super before Super was even a thing. And this really simplifies things because the Supreme Kai either doesn't remember all of the different universes, or maybe it's just a sense that, well, Goku doesn't really need to know about multiple universes, so why do I need to even bother? But it is quite interesting that Goku didn't go, wait, there aren't any more universes? Completely slapped that over, but maybe it was because of the fact that in that moment, Shin was like, I could tell you all about my backstory, but then Goku's like, no, we don't need to hear any of that. Maybe he wasn't paying attention or something like that, or maybe it just didn't really bother him or wasn't really interesting him. So maybe it might come back to him later on in Super. Well, it does with Beerus, but that could have been a moment where they could have dropped more multiple universes, but then that didn't happen. But that was quite a bit of a plot hole because I could have sworn that Shin mentioned multiple Supreme Kai from different universes, but none of the other characters actually paid mind to it, saying, wait, I thought we were the only universe or something. Or I don't know. That was something I thought about, but it doesn't really matter because Daima is really kicking on now. And I think the pace is going to get even faster because think about it. Episode 8 and episode 9, we fought the Tagami of the third world. Now we're getting to the second one about maybe 3 or 4 episodes later. That's a lot faster. So I think a lot of the people that were condemning Daima for being too slow, I think now it's really going to speed up. And hopefully it means that we've actually got a healthy run of maybe 24 episodes because we're now reaching the right point. If this now, we are approaching the halfway point, we are now approaching the second Tamagami, that kind of makes sense. That kind of works out. So I think there is going to be an amping up of things. Things are going to become more important, relevant. I've got a lot to look forward to, and I think you're going to be looking forward to it as well. And if you're only now just joining us, maybe you'd like to come and take a look at all of the other Daima reviews that we've been doing since episode 1. We've been there from the beginning.